Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I just realized I've got browsers open in the background that are going beep, beep, beep and carrying on. So I'm going to shut all of that down. Getting ready. Good morning. Say good morning as you come in. It's lovely to know who's here. Let me just open my comments so I can see you. Let's shut that. Oh my goodness, so much stuff open in the background. It ties in beautifully with our conversation that's going to be all about decluttering this morning. Decluttering. We've got such a grey day here, and I was looking, as myself, it's hard not to when you, good morning, Monica. I was looking at my face coming back to me, which is, obviously it's hard not to when you're on video all the time. And I say, gosh, I look so pale this morning. What's going on? And I'll show you. I had color makes such a difference, and this is something that I've played with as I've gone grey, because for those that knew me beforehand, I've actually got a very, very dark brown hair. And I had this cardi. I'm a big cardi fan. You can't see what I'm wearing, but I've always got cardigans on. And this morning I had this one on with the blue. Look at the difference in my face to what that does. It just washes me out. And I was looking at the mirror at the video going, gosh, what do I look so pale and washed out? And I kept going, putting more makeup on, trying to give myself some color. And then I realized that it was actually that color that was washing me out this morning. So I've gone and put my orange on, try and wake me up a bit. This is part of dopamine dressing in a way that makes you feel more alive. And when you look in, good morning, Crystal, Marina. What's wrong, Marina? Good morning, Margaret. Good morning. Good morning. This is, part of this dopamine dressing. So I find, now with grey hair, a little bit of makeup, and definitely wearing more color. I've always been a color person anyway, but wearing more color. Good evening. Somebody's coming to us from the other side of the globe. If you want me to see your name, you'll have to give StreamYard permission, honey, whoever that is. But yes, so wearing a little bit more makeup, a bit more color. Do you know the funny thing? I keep going to try and sort out my clothes, and everything's back to front. It is so weird. I feel so uncoordinated. That way. Anyway, I did do a on my Instagram, I don't know, about a week ago. I think, Monica, you saw it. Good morning, Liz. It's lovely to see you here, darling. I did a get ready with me morning. I was running late, and so I actually put my video on while I was, doing my makeup and stuff. And starting to wear makeup has become, something that is fairly recent, really. And my beautiful 19-year-old daughter, Hermione, taught me how to put makeup on. And now that I'm, 50, I thought it was probably about time. And so I did this get ready with me, morning video, and that was quite fun. So maybe I could start doing that in here, picking which clothes are going to make me look washed out and what gives me a bit of color when we're on video. Anyway, good morning, good morning. We've got another 2 minutes until we officially kick off. You love that video, Monica. Yes, we should do brew our morning coffee. And, there's that fabulous scene. I don't know, tell me, has anybody seen Burlesque? It was one of my favorite movies for so long. It's got Cher. And there's a scene in there where the main character is learning to wear makeup, and she's having this beautiful conversation with Cher about, watching the women in her life, her mother and her mother's best friends who are models, putting their makeup on, and the fun, and, the joy of being part of that group of women with this, putting makeup on is a feminine ritual. And, it makes me think of that. We could do it together. It would be fun. It would be fun. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody's morning been? Well, for those on the other side of the planet, I hope you've had the most magical, fabulous day, awakening your sense of aliveness through, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, what you're listening to. It was actually somebody in a challenge that I ran. it was a few months ago now. It's called Stronger, Healthier, Happier. And it is about, part of that is reawakening our senses. And somebody, may have even been you, Monica, now that I'm looking at your name, talked about Nessun-Dorma, Pavarotti. That sound when you close your eyes and just listen, the music just floats through every cell in your body. That experience is so magical. So we've got all these amazing senses that we can use to reawaken our sense of aliveness, our taste, the way that we look at the world around us with wonder and awe, our touch, what we're hearing. There's so many magical ways that we can bring back our enthusiasm for life, which is a big chunk of what this 11 days is about. So if you've got other ways, good morning, Fiona. Got myself to the gym at 7 a.m. You are a rock star, honey. You are a rock star. That is amazing. I got myself out for a walk this morning. It was lovely. Breathing in that fresh air. It's so cold here in the mornings at the moment. So, just getting that fresh air in my lungs. I love it. It just wakes me up. It wakes me up. All right, beautiful women. It is 9:31. So we are 1 minute over. And as always, I honor your time. So let's kick this off officially. So let's recap. We're on day 3. The first day I talked to you about a few things, but really my intention was to get you to set an intention for the coming 11 days. If we don't know where we're going, we go nowhere. That's a fact. So please, if you haven't yet set your intention, there are so many beautiful intentions that have popped up in the group under the lives that I've done. There's a separate post about it. If you're stuck, if you're not sure, ask for support, ask for ideas. We're here to help. We're in this together, all of us. Good morning, Judy. So setting your intention, and then the add-on to that is what you focus on expands. So let's focus on where we want to go, focus on what's possible, focus on what's fabulous in the world, what we, this midlife journey that we're on, why it's going to be the most extraordinary journey of our lives. Looking forward, there's so much to look forward to. So focusing on, be mindful of what you're focusing on. And then yesterday I talked about the proverbial we. I talked about if it is to be, it's up to me. Please make this your mantra. My intention is to support you to be the most empowered woman you can be. What does it mean to be empowered? It means taking 100% responsibility for who you are in the world, for what you do, for what you have, your experience of life, your ability to create the life you yearn for. So if it is to be, it's up to me. Have it written up everywhere. Have it as the screensaver on your phone. And every time you feel like you're falling into a bit of a funk, every time you feel like things are not as you would like them to be, it's like, okay, so if things are going to change, it's up to me to change them. Now, one of the most, impactful things that we do is giving our power away to the people around us. Well, I could be happy if he would just, if we've got a partner and we're thinking about, what they're doing that's impacting us, or it's a boss or it's something external, and we create stories in our heads around why we can't be happy because of this external thing that is happening, which segues beautifully into what I want to talk to you about today. You love that saying, massive impact. Yeah, absolutely, Monica. Absolutely. Good morning, Bonnie. So what I want to talk to you today is in essence about morning routines and how you set yourself up for success. Set yourself up to have a fabulous day ahead. Now, there's lots and lots of talk about this, and there is no concrete thing. There is no one thing that works for everybody. But here's my experience and what I support my clients to do. So I want to preface this with a little story because I think I'm a really strong believer in sharing not just the shiny bits that I get right, but where I fall in a funk and how I pull myself out of it, because we all do this. And this idea that there is a destination in life, that we arrive somewhere and suddenly everything is shiny and perfect, is total and utter BS. You know, the destination is actually death. That is the end point. Until we get to the end, we are consistently growing and changing and becoming more. So the great Tony Robbins talks about you're either growing or you're dying. So always we want to be in this mentality of growth, of change, of what's next, because that is what gives us that sense of aliveness. Good morning, Facebook user. I love that you are so excited, but I want to know who you are. Please give StreamYard permission so that I can actually acknowledge you by your name. Okay, so morning routines. I realized I've got this thing where I keep rubbing my hands. It's like a way to up energy. I hope it's not irritating to watch. Tell me if it is, and I'll try. I can't sit on my hands because I'm standing up, but anyway, I think it's a way that I keep my energy up and my brain active. Maybe I've got some Italian back, somewhere back in my history somewhere, because it's that expressive hand thing. I realize when I'm on video that I do it a lot. I hope it's not irritating. Tell me if it is. I won't take it personally. I'll try and do better. So I want to start actually with this morning routine. I want to give you a little practice that I think will serve everybody well. And this ties back into what you focus on expands. We are hardwired. We are programmed by the external voices that bombard us from everywhere to focus on all the things we don't have, to focus on the lack and the scarcity. And it's clever marketing, it's clever programming. It is designed to keep us consuming, to keep us, in that striving for what's next. There is an element of that is great. That's that growth if it's done in a healthy way. But what I want to do is give you a little gift of abundance today. And I don't doubt that you have heard about gratitude and how gratitude plays a monumental role in our ability to be happy and to experience joy. And so what I want everybody to do, if you would, is take a minute just to settle. And if you are somewhere where you can, please don't if you're driving, obviously. If you are able to, just take a minute to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths with me. So I want you to breathe in, and as you breathe in through your nose, allow your belly to expand. Fill yourself with fresh, clean oxygen, and breathe out through your mouth. And again, breathing in and release. And finally, last breath. And with your eyes closed, this is a beautiful visualization, abundance visualization that I want to walk you through. So as you sit there, wherever you are, start to bring to mind everything that you have and how grateful we are to have it. So you right now, I imagine, have a roof over your head. You have walls around you that protect you from the external environment. You have this protective, amazing bubble that is your home. Appreciate that you have floors to stand on. And it's not just dirt. You have carpet. You have a roof that is solid. And now bring your awareness to the fact that you have a chair to sit on. Somebody out there in the world imagined that chair. They visualized that chair in their imagination. And then they did the work that went into making that chair available to you so that you could be comfortable sitting in your home. You have a computer in front of you that connects you right across the world. Somebody out there created this computer in their imagination first, and then they went to work so that you have the luxury of using this device to connect you to me and all the other women in this group and to the entire world at large. Please send out gratitude to the person that built your home, to the person that created your chair. Send gratitude to the person that built your computer. With luck, you have books around you. Somebody out there first imagined that amazing book that has served you in their imagination. They sat down and spent their time, energy, and commitment to being of service, to putting words on paper, getting it together, getting it to an editor, getting it to a publisher, getting it to a bookstore so that it could land in your hands and serve you. Send out gratitude to the team of people that made that possible. You may have had a cup of coffee or tea this morning. Somebody out there in their imagination first pictured the field in which those coffee beans or that tea was going to grow. And then they sowed the plants and harvested the plants and turned those plants into something that was going to serve you. Got it to the people who could get it to you, packaged it. Send out gratitude to those people for what you have. So you can apply this amazing gratitude, the practice of gratitude, to everything around you. We have the most extraordinary abundance of things in our lives to have gratitude for. As you slide into your bed tonight, picture the person who first visualized what that bed was going to look like and then sourced what was needed to make it. That takes labor, that takes time, that takes care to be of service to you so that you have this bed to sleep in. And then you can go to the mattress and the sheets. You know, there is so much. We have so much. So take this moment to send out gratitude to all the people that have been of service to you so that you can have this extraordinary abundance of things in your life that serve you. So take 3 deep breaths again. Breathing in the gratitude and send out your thanks. And smile as you do it. This is magical. The food that you get to eat today all started in somebody's imagination. So they planted it in a field. And then if it comes to you as the raw ingredient that Mother Nature provides, give gratitude for that. Or if it is something that has been prepared and baked and ingredients put together, somebody did that. Give gratitude for that. So this visualization, and if you are ready to open your eyes and come back to me, please do. Sometimes it takes a little wiggle of the fingers. You know, once again, we get to we get to think about, these fingers that we have. And my poor children in inverted comments, I say to them, I baked you in my belly. I baked you in this body so that you have this life. And they kind of cringe at that, and it's like, oh mom, stop it. But it is about taking us back to these foundation things. You are magical. With hope, you all have fingers and toes that work, and legs that move you around all day, and arms that you can flap around like I do, that serve you. We've got hearts that are beating. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. Brains that are working, eyes that can see, I hope. And if you don't, there's other senses that we get to be so, so grateful for. So I hope that you enjoyed that visualization. Let me know in the comments, does that just give you this expanded feeling of abundance for all we have? I look at these flowers I did in the vase I've got, in that white vase behind me. I deliberately got these flowers because that are still closed, these lovely lilies that are still closed, because I want you to witness them opening over our 11 days. By the time we get to the end of our 11 days, you're going to see these flowers are opening. And this is a visualization of what my intention is for you. We start at this contracted space. We take so many things for granted, absolutely. Thank you, whoever said I love your animations. So, this is, use this visualization, use this picture of where you are now, regardless of where that is. We get to bloom further. We get to be in full bloom. So we can contract, but the intention with this is to really give you that expanded, abundant, beautiful feeling. There is so, so much that we can do to create that. So that visualization is one of them. So what I want you to think about with your morning routine is giving yourself time and space. You are so welcome. Blue skies in Sydney. It's grey here in Victoria. Send us some blue skies. Something you don't think about enough. Yeah, absolutely. I can't see your name. I can't see your name. Gia, I don't know if you can support here. I've got my gorgeous Gia in the background. We should all give thanks for Gia too. She makes all this possible. Oh, thank you, Gia. So morning routines. We've got about 10 minutes till the fabulous Cat is going to join us and talk about decluttering, which is such a big continuing part of this conversation. Morning routine. So here is what I want to share with you in a brief snapshot. About, we're getting up to nearly 12 months ago now, I fell in a hole. And I think, I wasn't alone. It was that COVID, we'd been in that COVID situation for a while. I'm a mum of 4. I had children that were desperately struggling with different aspects. My youngest son, who's now in year 9, hadn't done high school yet, because he had spent 2 years in essence in and out of lockdown here in Australia. It was very, particularly in Victoria where I live, it was very intense. So I was surrounded by people who were struggling. I was coaching people all over the world. We were doing COVID. We were doing the Black Lives Matter. There were so many things that were really causing great disruption. And as an empath, I fell in the hole of really absorbing all of this and focusing on everything that was no good. I was focusing on all the things that were feeding my fear, feeding my worry, feeding my anxiety. And I got in a really deep hole, and it was tough. It was tough. I don't think I had been in a place that was that dark and that miserable since my first marriage fell apart 14, 15 years beforehand, where it was that almost like that feeling of I'm not sure I want to wake up. Not a suicidal feeling. I don't want to at all imply that, but it's that heavy feeling that I imagine everybody has experienced at some point of like, oh no, it's another day, another morning has arisen, and I've got to find a way to get myself up and, moving through this day. And so the things that I did that moved me out of that place quite quickly all came down to my morning routine. And here it is in a snapshot, because I believe if you take on these practices in your morning routine, it is going to serve you really well. The first one is stop scrolling on social media. Now, I started to call it doom scrolling. It's like looking for the next thing. It becomes addictive. I promise. It sounds crazy, but it is addictive. Your brain starts to look for all the reasons to feed that anxiety, to feed that depression, to feed that worry. And we have to step into an empowered place and stop doing it. Turn off the news, stop doom scrolling on social media, and allow your nervous system to settle. Now, I have not experienced a better way to do this other than meditation. It allows your system to settle. It is that unwinding of your nervous system, and it allows you to breathe and relax and find your calm and your center again. The other thing is movement. Please move your body. And my preference is, the doom scrolling. My preference is that you get out and absorb the unbelievable gift that Mother Nature is. Breathe fresh air, look at the trees, look at the grass. I'm lucky enough to live near the beach, so I can do that. If you can look at a park, if you can be in the country, wherever you are, find a way to connect with Mother Nature. Plant your feet, your naked feet, on grass, on sand, on the earth. Ground yourself. And that movement, the meditation, and managing your mind, those three things, if you can incorporate that into your morning routine, I promise it is the most powerful way to start digging yourself out of a rut. You will allow your brain to settle. You will find you have the ability to think again. Now, we have the beautiful cat with us that I'm going to introduce you to shortly. And we're talking about decluttering, which is such a powerful conversation. But the decluttering that needs to happen in here, by turning off social media, by stopping all that, the clamor of the world that stops you from being able to think clearly, is going to be the greatest gift you can do. Tune out the world's clamor and find, through meditation, through walking, through being in nature, the ability to tune back into your internal wisdom. It's that inner voice that is wiser than the one in here. So the one in here is saying you've got too much to do. Don't waste time. Like, you don't have time to meditate. You don't have time to walk this morning. It's, there's more to do. If that's indulgent, we'll do that when we've got time. Don't listen to this. There is this internal wisdom that is the knowing. She knows that you need to unwind. She knows that you need to find your calm. She knows, I have seen in here, and it is definitely not just in here, it is epidemic across the world. This idea of, I don't even know what I want. Particularly for mothers, but for women, I speak to many women who are not mothers, but it is this idea of, what do you want? It's easy to say what I don't want, but finding that I want, that thing that lights you up, that vision for the future, for what you yearn to create, for who you want to be, that's harder. That takes you tuning out the world's clamor and coming back to you unapologetically. So, you know, there's lots of the talk about the fancy cars and the fancy houses and the fancy clothes and the fancy hotels and the big fancy holidays and all this stuff. Great. If that's you, go for it. But if it's, you may be the person that just needs, that has that desire to sit on the grass in the garden, to plant a fruit tree, to be amongst the cows, to whatever it is. Nobody else gets to decide. You get to decide what lights you up and makes you happy. So I think that, you know, if you can take this moment to set the intention to have a morning routine, you do have time. You will make time for the things you value. This is your invitation to value you first, to make time for a morning routine that serves you. And it's okay to play with it. It's okay for it to be uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. I can't tell you for how long I resisted meditating. It was like, I don't need this. It's later. I don't have time. It's indulgent. I had all of those stories. And it wasn't until I fell in a really dark hole that I needed to do something that was different, something that was uncomfortable, that served me to pull myself out of it. Link's not working. Gia's got you. Thank you. Did that work? Do you know it's me? Janet, hi. Okay, so choosing life. Absolutely, Jenny. So we have with us this morning the beautiful, beautiful Kat. And I didn't ask Kat how she actually says her surname, but I think it's Coluccio. I'll get her to confirm that in just a minute. But before I bring her on and introduce you to her, let me give you a little background. So Kat is a qualified educator, personal trainer, life coach, and she's the host of the Rocking Midlife podcast and the author of numerous books. Oh my gosh, if you go onto Amazon and put in her name, which I did, she has so many books, but one of them is 21 Hacks to Rock Your Midlife. Perfect for this group. So Kat is a born and bred Aussie, now living in New Zealand, and amongst all the wisdom she's accumulated on her journey, you know, all of us have been on this journey for a while now and accumulated this incredible wealth of experience and knowledge and information, and it's the life skills. You know, this is life university that we've been in, and one of the things that Kat has absolutely nailed down and is going to serve us with today is the art of decluttering. So let me bring Kat in. Kat, good morning.
Good
Look
morning.
At your background. It is gorgeous.
I've driven miles to a friend's house to have this background. I'm glad you like it.
It looks beautiful. It's so pretty. It's so fresh.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Gorgeous. Kat, tell me, did I say your surname properly? Coluccio.
You did. Well done, Coluccio. You did better than I did on the podcast with your name, so well done.
It's perfect. It's beautiful, Kat. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
It's just my pleasure.
Thank you. So I want to start with this question. First and foremost, Kat, how did you come to be doing the work that you're doing in serving midlife women? I'm curious.
Wow. Okay. All right. You want to pour yourself a cuppa and put your feet up for a few minutes?
Yeah. I do.
I've kind of been in this space for about a decade now, which blows my mind. But basically, I made my first midlife reinvention when I was the tender age of 43. And I had been homeschooling my children for the previous 6 years because both of them were elite athletes who were traveling the world. So the moment that my youngest one got accepted into university, and we were sitting out on the deck and she was opening all these letters and she was so excited and we were so excited. And inside, I felt like I'd had a sucker punch because it was like, what the heck do I do with my life now? I'm redundant because, I didn't think she was going to need her mama to drive her to university and make sure she's got snacks, So So that was the point I was at. And I figured I kind of had three choices. I could sit and pine for the life I'd had, because even though, I'd had a life as well, like I used to be a musician and all these things, but I had loved those homeschooling years. So I could
Yeah.
get stuck there and just pine for that.
Yeah.
Or I could go back to what I used to do, which was originally I trained as a high school music teacher. But I could tell you, especially after you've homeschooled, your philosophy and everything changes. I didn't want to go now teach other people's kids in a classroom. Or I could choose to reinvent myself. And so I took box 3, applied to the New Zealand Institute of Sport, which was hilarious because in all those years that I was helping my children become elite athletes, I actually hadn't set foot in the gym myself and was huge, totally overweight. But in my head, being the introvert I am, I processed everything and I knew that I wanted to be able to do something that wouldn't take up years of study because I'd already done degrees and things. I didn't want to go commit to years of that. I wanted to be my own boss and I wanted to be able to help people. So I came up with 2 options, a personal trainer or a funeral director. I know, random, hey? And so I went for the personal trainer, informed my family, who are all a bit like, oh, okay, where'd that come from? Had my interview the very next day, got in, thanks to a lovely young man who saw potential. And that was the beginning of that evolution. And then I went on to work in a massive, big, old school bodybuilding gym out in South Auckland, rough as guts, but so fantastic, the most amazing people. And over the years, I realized I was starting to attract more people like me, women who were just starting to rediscover themselves after sort of emerging from the caves of child rearing, sort of, blinking in the light, going, what do I do with myself now? And anyone who's been in a gym training situation knows, you count reps, but it's not really about that. Because the whole time the client's telling you what they're feeling, what they're going through, what their marriage is like. And that's why I ended up adding life coaching. And then because I also live with a chronic pain situation, it got to the stage where I couldn't physically do that work anymore. But I'd already started reinventing and I'd created a group online initially to serve my clients, but it grew to this rocking midlife movement that's now got women from all over the world in it. And it just grew from there. And so I've added coaching and programs and writing and just like you, just kind of just found this snowball effect when you realize that there's this massive tidal wave of midlife women who are just subtly going, what do I do now? Because we all know life's not over at midlife. It's just different. So it's helping women and encouraging them as they walk into their new next season.
Yeah. It's having turned 50 this year, I just think of it's the halfway point.
Yes.
To bring all this wealth of experience and with us, it's the next half. And if you think about how long we've been here, it's a long journey. So we've got a long way to go.
Absolutely. And the thing that I love, a lot of the women that went before us would talk about how women would get to this stage of life and we become invisible and, we're not kind of noticed anymore. And there's some little elements of that. I mean, obviously, what we see in the media is mainly younger models and things like that. But I think there's actually a tidal wave of women like you and like myself who are going, we've got this wisdom, we've got these voices. Actually, we've still got so much to offer. And I think it's just all of us stepping into the courage to actually do that, create what we want next. I caught the last bit of your message then about, your morning routine and all of that. And you were so spot on, everything you were saying, Edwina. It's just putting all the noise, all the crap out of the way, isn't it? And stepping into what you want to do next and the impact you want to make.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I think, I've just this morning started, I'm an avid reader. I love books. And Lady Chatterley's Lover is one that I have never read.
D.H. Lawrence.
Yes, and it is such a fascinating the lead up. That book was banned until I think it was 1960 because it talked about women's pleasure and the fact that she had more than one partner and these shock horror things. And obviously I have like I barely just started the book, but just the the history behind that book is part of what we're talking about in this, as women, we get to really acknowledge the fact that it is very recent that we really had a voice in society.
Yes.
And more so women who are older, because the older we got, the less we were valued in society.
That's so right. Yeah.
And we now get to really we get to be the matriarchs in this space and just say, this gets to become a much more normal, expanded reality for all of us.
That's what I think. Because we're the first generation to have, this access to this type of social media and this way of being able to communicate now and to have a voice. And I do think we're breaking a path that the generation coming behind us, they're going to be like, what's not having visibility? It's just, they'll be straight on there because they're growing up with it. But for us, I think we're the first ones to really get our voices out there en masse. There's always been a few pioneers, but en masse.
Yeah. I want to run off on this subject, but I'm going to bring it back to decluttering.
Yes.
We will do this again, Kat. We'll do this again.
We will.
So tell us, why is midlife the perfect time to be decluttering?
Well, so many reasons. And I need to say, first of all, I'm actually not a wonderful, organized, perfect person at home. So I'm not one of these organization queens with everything color-coded and the perfect pantry with all the nice neutral tones. I'm actually someone who's just learned through the process and then done the research to realize that decluttering has so many benefits. And at midlife, it's perfect because it's also allowing you to put the past aside and decide what you want to live, how you want to live going forward. And if you do it carefully and wisely, you're still honoring that past. You're not just throwing everything out, but you're honoring it how you go about decluttering, what you choose to keep, what you choose to donate, what you choose to gift. That's all tied up with you letting go of those years that have gone before and embracing this next new season. Yeah. If you had to sum it up in one nutshell, decluttering gives you space. Yes. It gives you space mentally. It gives you space on your devices. What you were saying about devices, that's an area I'm really strong on with decluttering. It gives you space in your physical environment. It just gives you space. And then you can use that space to be or to grow or to fill it with something new in your life. But you've created that area for you now to go, right, next season, I'm ready.
Oh, it's so powerful. That device thing, I can remember a couple of years ago, I got to the point where I had about 2,000 emails in my inbox. And the feeling of knowing, I was never going to get to them, but being too scared to delete them in case there was something there I was going to miss. And it was this constant. And in the end, I just went, done. And I just did this massive delete. I thought, if there's something in there that I need to know, somebody's going to get back to me, and I'm just going to start from scratch. It took me a while to get to that point. But now my inbox, the beautiful Gia, who's in the background here, my assistant, will testify to this, but my inbox is cleaned daily. I have
fantastic.
5 emails unread at one time. I get them sorted and move through. And, when I'm doing challenges like this, it might get a bit busier, but I am so on it, because that clutter, it is paralyzing. It's exhausting.
It does. It weighs on you, doesn't it? Just knowing that you've got that inbox full, and I'm ready to do another cull on mine as well, and it just weighs on you. And you're talking about your morning routine. You sit down, it's a beautiful, fresh new morning. You open up your computer and there's 150 emails that are still sitting looking at you. And that's before today's lot have arrived. It's so much more than just making your house look pretty. Decluttering is something that really, really goes deep on so many levels.
Yeah. And it ties in so beautifully, Kat, with what I was talking about this morning. As you said, it's like, you've got to allow your space to be that clear, calm environment. Our insides reflect the outside. So if
Yes.
this is all feeling jumbled and like I can't even put my thoughts together, then maybe start with a little external stuff. So you talk about there's 3 areas, and we probably
Yes.
touched on it a little bit, but let's, I'm a big fan. Everybody, please, please, please have your pen and paper out.
Yeah.
Write the bullet points down so that it's clear, because it's going to work better for your brain if you've got it on
Yeah.
paper as well as hearing it. So Kat, step us through, what are the 3 areas that are going to make a big difference?
Oh, look, they're really obvious. And a lot of you are going to hear what I say and go, well, that's not rocket science. And you're absolutely right. It isn't. But it's being reminded, and exactly what Adwina is saying about, that mind connection to, it's writing it down and just reminding yourself. So the big 3 areas, the obvious first one is your physical environment. Now that can go for your workplace as well as your home or anywhere where you are constantly, in that environment. The second one we've touched on, digital. The digital world is incredible. And because we've kind of grown up with this world suddenly getting thrust upon us, a lot of us don't actually know how to manage that digital world very well either. And the clutter from that is only getting more and more and more. And then the third one, obviously, the big one, particularly for women at midlife, is the mental clutter, dealing with what's in your head. It's that whole thing of you can't see the forest for the trees, or the other way around, the trees for the forest. Do you know what I mean? When there's so much clutter there, you can't see the thing that you really should be focusing on because you're just divided all the time. So they're your 3 big areas. And of those 3, I mean, they're all so, so important. But of those 3, I usually say, let's start with the physical, because that's kind of the easiest place to start.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it has a ripple effect.
Yes.
I talk about probably the most obvious one for me is I can't walk into a filthy kitchen and cook a beautiful meal. It is like as a visual person, I think about I want a blank canvas. I want to start with a blank canvas. So, I'm not going to pick up a journal and start scribbling on a page that already has stuff on it. It doesn't work for my brain. I need a blank canvas, a clean and then I can do it. I can't walk, I want my kitchen benches to be cleared off. I want to know where the things are in my pantry. It doesn't have to be, alphabetized or,
it doesn't have to be Pinterest worthy, so long as it works for you.
Yeah, that's right. I want to know where to find the spices that I want, and things are cleared out. One of the things that I've has been particularly pertinent for me this year that I'd love you to touch on is that empty nest stage. So it took me quite a while to get, I'll try not to get teary. It took me quite a while to get, because I've got a whole end of my house now that is essentially empty. These 3 beautiful bedrooms, their bathroom, that everything's out. It took me ages to get into their rooms and with their permission, because it's not like they'll never come home, but with their permission to, start just kind of clearing that space a bit. But, empty nest obviously is part of what many of the women in this space, if they're not in it now, it's coming. So, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, there's kind of 2 ends of it too. You've got empty nest, and then for a lot of people, it's also you're losing your parents. And with that loss often comes a whole lot of extra clutter into the home as well, because now you've got mum's china set and mum's coats, or the pictures you used to have on a wall, or you've inherited all the photo albums. So both of those, the empty nest and that clutter from your parents, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, if you're familiar with Marie Kondo and all of those amazing organizers out there, they usually lead people through starting off with easy things and then working their way to the sentimental items. And it's like you build up your clutter muscles before you hit those type of things. And dealing with those things is actually also a physical acceptance, isn't it, that life has changed. I mean, you hear of people who, horrible situations, but they might lose a child, or even if the child's gone away to college for 4 years and nothing is moved in that child's room, it's almost like left as a shrine. And and that's obviously, if it's a grief loss thing, that's a whole different level. That's not something I'd say, hey, get your cluttering on. Obviously, that's a whole different thing. People grieve differently. But if it's your child's gone to college and you're struggling to even touch or move or take back claim any area of your house, then you really got a question about, have you really let go, and are you ready to let go and start embracing that life is going to look different going forward? And for some women, that act of starting to declutter is that physical acceptance that, all right, life is going to look different. And then as they do that journey of working through the things, and obviously when you're dealing with your kids' things, you're going to be doing that in dialogue with them. I would never, ever, ever recommend that somebody, barge into their child's room who's left for college last week and bundle it all up and, store it in the garage. But, once you start doing that, you're opening up room then for your creativity, and you're also releasing them too. Because it makes it hard for them in some ways too, if they see that mum's still got the shrine to them when they come in the house. And it's like you're kind of holding them in that position of time too. So midlife decluttering, I think, is just such a beautiful thing, because it really does, like, it's us acting physically what we're trying to do emotionally, letting go of where we've been, but in a way that honors it. So it's not just turf it all out the door. It's honoring it. Well, what are the pieces that you want to keep? What pieces do you want to donate? And it's doing it thoughtfully. So,
you've touched on it, but I just really want to shine that spotlight on the whole no fault, blame, guilt, shame. There is no space for it inside our communities, inside this space. Wherever you are at, it is just a matter of where do you want to be, without consideration or care for what anybody else's opinions might be. What is right for you?
Exactly.
I know, I've actually worked with several women now who were at a situation in their homes where they stopped inviting people over because they weren't happy or proud of how their house was presented. They knew that there was decluttering that needed to happen. There was sorting that needed to happen. And to get to that space where you don't want to have people in your home, that's awful. That's not a great feeling. We want to feel proud of, because it is a reflection of us. It is how we want people to see us.
Yes.
So what are some of the, perhaps, do you have a favorite place to start? What are
start? Yes, I do. I actually write about it in my books, because, I see these, like I keep saying, I see it as such a critical part of being able to let go of the past and move forward. And I always suggest that people start with their own ensuite countertop, because it's fairly small. You can generally get it cleaned up and looking beautiful, like in under an hour. And there's a win. You get that hit, that dopamine hit that goes, oh, hey, doesn't this look good?
Yep.
And that's what I mean. And then you go find the next small thing. So that might be the bathroom cabinet, or it might be, the cupboard, or it might be one kitchen drawer. And you just work your way around like that. And each time you get a win, it's just going to make you feel that much better. You're going to start to go, oh, I want another buzz like that. And then you can start going bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's what I really suggest, that people start small, particularly if it's been something that, you've built it up in your head. I've got to declutter. And that in itself has become a weight on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Take the weight off. Yeah. Don't worry about what the books say about, any particular way. You do what works for you. And if you want to keep those 10 old albums of birthday cards or whatever, you do that, but you store them properly so it's not just laying around as a mess, but you keep what you want. There's no rights or wrongs. Right. The object, though, is to have it clear so you can function, so you can get up in the morning, exactly what you said, and have a clean slate and feel that freedom that goes, right, what can I create in my life today? Because I'm not overwhelmed with all this mess. And if I can just say here too, like, there's a reason why clutter does disturb us so much too. You touched on a bit too when you're talking about, devices and notifications and things like that. They break focus, they break productivity. And when your focus is broken, it can take you a good 10 to 20 minutes to get back on task. Yeah. So that's a good one for at the workplace, turn your notifications off. But at home, what happens is when you've got clutter everywhere, you've got sensory overload happening. Because you remember, your body is bombarded constantly with input. And it's not just what you see, it's what you touch, it's what you hear, it's what you smell. All of those things are bombarding your body. So what happens is your brain is so busy then having to, oh, okay, that's a glass, that's, trying to register and identify and all this, that it means that you get so absorbed in this stuff that you have nothing left to be thinking of the dreams and the goals and the things you want to achieve and that life you want to create. So there is a very real scientific way why clearing your clutter is actually really, really good. And it's tied to greater productivity, greater focus, greater ability to be able to create.
Yes. Absolutely. One of my favorite places that made a big difference in my decluttering was the bookshelf. I found that I've got several bookshelves. People know my love of books, but it became a dumping ground, and there was so much stuff, old certificates and things that get tucked in. Pulling everything off, and that having that visual of something that looks clean and orderly and sorted just gives the motivation to do the next space.
It does.
The countertops is another really powerful one. I'd love to know. I'm seeing there's comments coming through.
I've noticed some messages. Yes.
I'm lucky enough to live right next door to a church that goes mission giveaways, and so good. It's
that is brilliant. Have you seen the meme? I sometimes post it in my group because it's hilarious because we all do it. And it's one of those memes that says, I like to donate things, but first of all, I'll drive them around my car for a couple of months and show them the town before I donate. I've done that myself. So having a church next door would be like heaven.
Yes. In fact, I think I've got stuff in my boot that's been there for a while. Distractions are awful. Didn't realize how much digital clutter is preventing me from achievement. Absolutely, Jenny. Even to clean out handbag and wallet. Oh my gosh, yes, Sandy. That is a big one. That is a really big one. We can lug around all this stuff, old expired cards and all sorts of things in our wallets.
Receipts from 5 years ago, just in case. Yeah.
Get rid of it. What, Kat, is Swedish death cleaning? Please explain.
Swedish death cleaning. I wrote an article on it recently, and I actually called it The Joyful Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's actually a brilliant concept, and it's a brilliant concept for midlife. Basically what it is I can't say the actual word in Swedish, but what it is basically people are cleaning out to downsize. So it's generally people who are empty nesters, cleaning out, downsizing. And what they do is instead of just, keeping all the things that they potentially want to keep for their kids or for their relatives later on, they start gifting it now. So, they'll do the usual toss out old stuff, toss out used broken things, torn clothes. They'll do all that. They'll be quite good in coming back down to the basics because, again, they're downsizing. But then instead of just keeping all of those gifts and things that they wanted to leave to the grandkids, they start gifting them at midlife. And it's beautiful, really, because it makes them think now about what they've got, what they want to gift as memento, and they can share the story of it now as they give it to them, to the recipient, rather than leaving a list of things to be given out when they're gone, or leaving a horrendous house full of clutter to their children who are probably grieving and trying to work out what to do with houses and funeral costs and everything. So it's like a gift on so many levels. It's a gift to you because it's cleared your space. It's a gift, obviously, to your children who will be grieving. And it's a gift to every person that you want to give something beautiful and something little to. And I love the concept so much. And I've already kind of done it a little bit. I took a couple of rings that my husband given me over the years, and I've already given them on different birthdays to my daughter, and she just loves them and wears them all the time because they were from mum. And it's so nice that I get to see that rather than her just getting them all when I'm gone. So that's Swedish death cleaning in a nutshell, and it's actually really joyful.
I think that is so powerful and so beautiful. The idea of I bought this ring that has 4 stones in it when my first marriage fell apart, and I
Yeah.
felt weird not wearing an engagement ring. It was, just a story in my head, not having a wedding ring or anything, and 4 children. It just
Yeah.
felt it was just, one of my
Yeah.
things. So I went out and bought this ring for myself, and I had a stone for each child. And, my intention is that they will each get one of these stones in
Beautiful.
to wear or to have in something, whatever they choose to. And the idea of actually seeing them with that before I'm gone gives me far more joy than the
Yeah.
idea of them being presented with this after I'm gone and then deciding. I think that is beautiful. I think that's going to
Yeah.
awaken, some really amazing thoughts, some
Yeah.
ideas for people. I'd
It's
love.
it's kind of a good way too. Like for instance, I've got the big Royal Albert
Yep,
china set that was given to me with my wedding, for my mum,
yep,
and some silver and bits and pieces. So, and we just moved house earlier this year, so that's why I'm saying don't look at me as the model house person, because I've still got boxes, because I'm using it to really basically declutter heaps at the same time.
yep,
But we ran out of time prior to the move, so I'm doing a lot of it now. So,
yep,
I talked to my daughter. I was going to finally let go of these things, but I talked to her, honey, would you like this silverware? It was given to me by my grandmother. And yes, mum, please. Yes. So it's in a box with her name on it,
yep,
popped away for her. And
yep,
that's so much nicer to be able to do that than just go, oh, look, I feel torn because it's family, but get rid of it, it's in the way. It's
yeah,
kind of nice. It's got a home to go to. And
yeah,
like the big china set, because no one this day and age is going to use a big china set, I don't think, unless you're royalty.
yeah,
But I can split that up, and I can give a cup and saucer set to my daughter-in-law, and I can give one
yeah,
to my daughter and one to a niece and things like that. So that's my next project, just to start working my way through my china and things like that to
yeah,
gift to the younger generation, just a piece or two that they
yeah,
can keep.
yeah. And I want to go back to don't look at me as I can't think what your words were, but that role model thing. But I think it's,
Uber perfect.
yeah, it's actually not what we're striving for.
No.
When in my opinion, so when we look at magazines of homes and all these different things, I have no desire to live in a hotel.
No.
It doesn't fill me with joy. Yes, I want to go
No.
and visit, and everything's sparse and clean and minimalist, and that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. But in my home, what is right for me is I love lots of books, and I love bunches
Yeah.
of flowers, and I've got over every couch, I've got woolen blankets because I want to be wrapped in,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
brings me joy. So the ideal perfect home, you've got to work out what is that looks like for you. Don't
Yeah.
don't think it has to look like a magazine.
No, not at all. Not at
You
all.
know,
I mean, we're doing the intergenerational thing now in my family. So my
yeah,
daughter's overseas now in LA, but my son and his wife and my grandson all live with us now. And we've kind of got two separate wings of the house, but we kind of cross over, in the kitchen and things. So I'm back to going, okay, there's a toddler here. And I'm able to keep my area that bit tidier, so my husband and I feel good. That's what we like. But there's still the basket of toys that
yeah,
sometimes goes everywhere. And
yeah,
so, and like exactly what you said, we don't live in a show home. We live
no,
in a real home. I've got the pile of blankets too. But
yeah,
but it's at the level of clutter where I know that it's not overwhelming me. It's not distracting me from the things that I need to do. And I
yeah,
think a lot of that's your key. If your clutter is preventing you from doing what you want to do, either because it's weighing on you or it's literally all over the place, or you can't find your keys every time you want to go out the door or things like that, that's when you know you've got to act. And then you've got to find the sweet spot for you that
yes,
makes you feel great, feel supported, feel like you're in your sanctuary in your home.
yeah. I love that, Kat. I love that.
Mm.
So I know you've got a gift. I'm just wondering if there's questions in here that we
Yeah.
may have missed. I'm going to have a little look. Would you take a
Yes.
minute? You've got your beautiful gift that you're going to share with us. So do you want to take a second to tell everyone
Yeah,
what that is?
certainly, certainly. So, like I said, people generally find it easiest to start with their home environment because you can get some good wins and it impacts you straight away because you feel great. So what I did is I put together a really simple, free 30-day challenge called Love Your Home 30-day decluttering challenge. It's a real, exciting title, but hey, it says it all. And literally what'll happen is when you register for that, you'll automatically get an ebook that I wrote a little while ago, just called 10 Hacks to Simplify Your Life. And that's just talking about simple things. In fact, that's the word I like better than minimalism or anything like that. I just like simple living, whatever brings things back to you, just simplifying things so that you can, feel great in your home. And also there's even a little seasonal cleaning checklist you can use as a guide. But the idea with a 30-day challenge is literally you'll just get an email every day with a prompt, and you can work on that area every single day, or you can just collect all those emails and, go through it when you've got a bit of time off and you really want to go hard with them. But they're literally just prompts, and you'll find also there's a few little surprises as you go through that challenge too, and you'll end up with a really nice printable booklet at the end of it that will help you just stay on top of keeping your home stress-free, clutter-free, so you can get on and do the things that you really want to do with your life.
So good. So good. I'm excited to have a look at it myself. I'm just wondering I don't think there's any questions. There's been lots of lovely comments and feedback. And I know you're in the group, Kat, so you can pop in and answer.
We'll have a look.
Thank
you, ladies.
Has anybody got any questions, anything that we didn't cover? I actually often think that, no questions means that we've done a really good job, Kat. Of answering everything.
I think it's something that everyone relates to because, especially as mothers, we're so used to having to deal with everyone's rubbish in the house at some point.
Yeah.
But I really think if you can use it almost, it's like, your midlife reinvention.
Yeah.
You can have some clear steps in there. Like I had a clear step when I went back to school to train. But sometimes it's a little more about you growing on the inside, and it's not such an obvious thing. And I think the physical act of doing decluttering while you do it is kind of like a nice little, I am reinventing, and this is me physically actually putting it into action. It's almost like that little baby step as you move towards the life you want to create. So I just want to encourage everyone listening today, have a go, do it, and then keep doing it. Do it every season. Just touch up. Make your home your sanctuary. Make your digital devices work for you, not distract you from the things that you want to do. And that's a whole other topic yourself. And I know Edwina and other ladies are going to talk about this, but then start decluttering the stuff that you've got in your head. It's worth it, girls.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat. It has been an absolute delight, as I knew it would be, to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. So cool to be here.
Thanks, honey. All right. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Edwina.
All right, beautiful people. So Gia, I'll get you to change that background because it's cutting my head off a little bit. But thanks, honey, as we finish up today and as you dive into the new day or this next, if it's some of you are probably heading for bed, but just think about, a morning routine that you can start tomorrow where you start to reduce some of the clutter in here, find a space of calm, get out, move your body, connect with nature, and set yourself up for a beautiful day ahead. If anybody's got questions, if anybody needs ideas, if anybody needs support and accountability, we are here for you. So please let us know. Let us know what your intention is. As always, I'm going to keep saying this. Let us know what your intention is for this challenge, because if we don't know, we can't serve you, and we are here to serve you. All right. So much love, and thank you for being here, and we will see you again tomorrow. Mwah. Bye for now.